we have finally got to do our segment that we didn't get to do the last time because something went wrong with Facebook. So, anyway, and of course, you know Olivia, my assistant, and so she's going to be with us today, and we're going to have a little conversation about stress and how it affects your body and how it affects your immune system and why it's really not a good thing. Something went wrong with Facebook.
Hi, everyone. So what you might not know about me is that I am a yoga and meditation teacher, and also I'm in my second year of getting my master's in psychology. So I have a lot to share with you about stress and anxiety and what that means for us mentally. And then I'm going to ask Dr. Chung some questions about what that means for the body as well. So we're going to have a nice little discussion here. And just give me 1 minute while I add this to my page.
And if any of you are watching have a comment or a question, so go ahead and type it in and we'll try to get to the questions. And if we don't get to your question while we're doing this, we'll email you back and answer these questions. So go ahead and type in your question if you have any. And obviously, right now, I think everybody can agree that stress is on and at an all-time, high with the shelter in place and with so much uncertainty. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the worst things is the uncertainty. Um, and then, just people are not able to find that social, connection that that we all need as human beings. And so, Zooming and all that is all very good, and I'm glad we are able to do that. But it's not the same as getting a hug from your friend when you're in trouble or from your loved ones. So that is definitely putting a lot more stress on people. And and so in a little bit, I'm going to have Olivia help us, teach us a technique to help reduce stress and through her practices of yoga and meditation and all that. So how does stress affect your system? Well, first of all, when you're in a stressful situation, either, let's say in the old days, it would a long time ago, it would be a tiger chasing you. Well, your body kicks in, your adrenal glands, the brain signals very quickly to the adrenal glands, and the adrenal glands, which are two little glands that sit part of the hormone system, sit on top of the kidneys, one on each side. They produce a lot of hormones, and I would say this is your stress gland. It produces hormones like adrenaline and cortisol and all that, and that helps to fire up your muscles and direct more blood to your muscles, and so you can run away from the tiger. Mm-hmm. Now today our stress is not quite the same as that anymore. So back then our ancestors were used to getting little spurts of stress when they were hunting or something like that. But now, maybe you have stress all day long. For example, right now you have stress all day long. You're not sure what's going to happen. You don't know, whether you're going to get sick, or if you go out, are you going to get sick, and what's going to happen. Some people also, their jobs are at, jeopardy. They can't go to work because, they are working in a restaurant and restaurants are closed, all that kind of stuff. Lots of uncertainty. People are sheltered in place at home. They've got little ones with them. They're trying to, go online schooling, homeschooling, which they never signed up for in the first place. Mm-hmm. And then they're also trying to work as well. And maybe there are two of them trying to work and the kids, so lots of stress. There's a lot more dynamics going on when usually that's not the case, and no relief, right?
Yeah. What's interesting too is we're seeing such a varied response with people in stress, right? Some people are responding to this pandemic and it's really taking a toll on them. And this is because when we experience something like this, it really actually connects to all your experiences in the past as well. So, if you especially had like a childhood where there was a lot of uncertainty, a lot of instability, you weren't really sure what was going on, you weren't really sure about your safety all the time. If you have that background, that is imprinted in your unconscious. And so, when something like this happens, and all of a sudden all the uncertainty is coming up, that fear from the past, or it could even be fear from another significant relationship if you had a particularly difficult romantic relationship as an adult, right? All of that memory from the past, which you might not even be thinking of, but unconsciously it's right there under the surface. It's coming up and it's making your ability to handle this stress really low because it's not just about what's happening now, right? It's
That's
layered.
exactly it. And in Chinese medicine, we talk about how the kidney is related to the emotion of fear. So if, for example, you had, some, abusive, relationship in the past, or, even when you were young, that, gets imprinted in, right? And then, these little things are, anytime a stressful situation or something like that comes about, it's like your body goes into a reaction, that was appropriate back then, but is no longer appropriate because you were no longer in that kind of a situation. But the stress just brings it up. And so then your whole body goes into this fight and flight mode. You're starting to produce all these hormones that causing difficulties, like say, you start getting palpitations, and then you cannot sleep, and you've got, anxiety starts coming up and all that. So it's really, really, really hard. And so what we want to do, right, is find some technique to help you breathe through it, or to understand what's going on. So once you understand, then you can start to address it. And what I find with Chinese medicine and acupuncture, acupuncture is fantastic for helping to rebalance. Yes. So when you have this imbalance, when you have more of the sympathetic going on, which is your fight and flight mode, you're like right there, right, ready to run all the time. Acupuncture just helps bring these two, your rest and your relaxing part, which is the parasympathetic, and the sympathetic, which is the fight and flight, bring them back to where they should be in harmony. And when that happens, and as most people will notice after a session of acupuncture, they feel so much more relaxed.
Yes.
Some people even fall asleep when they have acupuncture, right?
Yeah. And this is exactly what I love about Chinese medicine and acupuncture is like we're talking about the mind-body connection, right? So a lot of times people don't realize the stuff that goes on in your mind is also going on in your body, right?
Exactly.
And vice versa. So when we have issues within the body, when we're starting to have health concerns and difficulties, it's always related to something that's also going in the mind, right? Emotional especially really affects our bodies. And when you come in and you work with doctors like Dr. Chung here, that's going to be able to be addressed fully, because that is what Chinese medicine and acupuncture also like acknowledge, where so many other like Western allopathic doctors might not be able to address. Right? And so we might not find the root cause and find some relief in it.
Yes. And so, yes, it's true. In Western medicine, they have these specialties, right? You have psychiatry, and then you have, family medicine or internal medicine and all that. But, it's like you're not like divided into different parts of you. You're one person, and everything is happening to you. Your mind is connected to your body. It innovates everything, and so and there's always a back and forth going on between feedback from your body going up to your brain, and then your brain signaling everything too. And so and then other things that we use to help to bring back that balance, so that people will start to be able to feel that calmness, and be able to sleep better. And then they also find that their moods will start to and sometimes I've noticed that getting a session can also help people work through, it opens up, it almost releases some of these emotions.
Yeah.
So sometimes people,
I've cried on the table, for sure. Yeah.
that's right. I've had people say, I don't know what happened, but, I just had this, release and I started to cry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, of course, you're in the room and you're private, in your own room when you're getting a treatment. And of course, whenever people, if they are uncomfortable, they can always, call us back. But some people need that. And sometimes we don't know, everybody's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what's really important too is actually this time where so many people are feeling stress, and so much of that unconscious buildup of emotion is really coming into play. It's like reopening a wound, right?
Yes.
Or re-breaking a bone, right?
Yes.
Because if the bone doesn't heal correctly, right, it's going to cause lots of problems. So you have to reset it.
Mm.
So when we are addressing things, right now, such a good time, like everyone's wounds are like so open and they're feeling all of this stuff. It's an opportunity to heal that deeper layer that didn't get dealt with when you were either a child or just recently in the past, right? Because sometimes we don't have a chance.
Yes.
Right? Because our society is go, 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 go.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll deal with that later, or I don't want to deal with that. Like, yikes, that's too much.
That's right. And it gets shoved underneath,
mm-hmm.
Shoved under the carpet. But it's always going to come up, right?
Yeah.
And so, it just needs a little trigger, like,
mm-hmm.
for example, shelter in place or something like that, or some other, stress. It brings these things up.
Exactly.
And yes, it's true. And we should see it as an opportunity,
mm-hmm.
To do that healing,
mm-hmm.
to work with that and to work through that. But but to know that there is help, that you can work with someone who can help you, be able to work through it.
mm-hmm.
And your body wants to do the work, and and so.
Which is why it'll start screaming at you, right? It really wants to be seen, or else it wouldn't hurt. Right? So when you're in pain or you have health concerns, it's because something wants to be addressed, right? And the longer you don't address it, the louder it's going to scream at you.
That's right. Yes. Mm-hmm. So symptoms are actually our friends, basically.
Mm-hmm.
They are telling us something is not quite right. It's a little red flag, okay? And it's like, for example, you're driving along and your check engine light comes on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, are you going to, your first instinct is, oh my gosh, something's wrong with my car. So you might stop and you think for a moment, okay, should I just go straight to my mechanic or should I just go on? Can I go on? How long can I go before,
right.
That's it. How long can I drive before the car breaks down and stops suddenly, right?
Yeah.
So our instinct is like, oh, maybe if I go for another 5 miles, and then okay, then it's all right. Check engine light is still there, but I'm still going. Okay, then I'll go another 10 miles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so eventually you kind of ignore that check engine light.
Yeah.
Right. And then finally the car stops.
And this is right. This is so easy to do. Especially when we're not in the present moment, right? Because when our minds are caught up in dealing with the past, all the fear from the past, and then also projecting into the future, right? All the uncertainty and like waiting, oh, there will be certainty in the future. There's something going to happen in the future. I'm just going to wait for the future. Or I really don't know. I just don't feel safe, right? Our mind is not in the present. The body is in the present, right? So when we're able to slow down, tune into our body, and at the end of this talk, I'm going to give you a breathing technique that's super simple, super easy to do, that will help you drop into the body and start being present with it. So you can hear these signals that are going off, right? That are from the stress and anxiety that are so present today. And then you'll be able to address it, and you'll be able to have the wherewithal to do something about it. And, so many times it's just a matter of slowing down, which, again, we have an abundance of time right now, right?
Yes.
Everything's slowed down. It's like this perfect storm for healing, right? It feels awful, right? Right? We're all terrified and everything's slowed down, and but it's like, oh, here is an opportunity to really get some beautiful healing work done. And I'm so grateful that we have people like Dr. Chung who can really assist us through this time in such an effective way. So what are some of the things that, like, once we start to slow down, what are some of the signals that the body is giving us when we're in stress and anxiety? Like, what can people look for?
Well, obviously, some of those symptoms are, um, once if you've been in the stress kind of a mode for too long, actually, in fact, what happens is eventually your adrenals start to fatigue and tire down because,
Mm-hmm.
they had to produce this adrenaline all the time and the cortisol and all these stress hormones. Um, and so eventually it's just going to pack up and decide that it can't work very well anymore. So that's when people start to have fatigue,
Mm-hmm.
extreme fatigue, the 10 cups of coffee won't do it for them.
Mm-hmm.
If you find yourself having to, the first thing you reach for is your coffee in the morning and then another coffee and then at 3 o'clock another coffee,
Mm-hmm.
that you're in trouble, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of those things that this kind of fatigue. And then also waking up not feeling rested as well.
Mm-hmm.
And actually sometimes people can get a kind of insomnia from this fatigue of the adrenals, and that's the kind where they actually have trouble falling asleep. They might wake up several times in the night, and your and also the adrenals. There's some blood sugar control going on related to that.
Oh
Those
my God,
glands
carbs.
as well.
How many
Yes.
people are eating way more carbs now and
Well,
sugar?
that's right. Yes, because of the shelter in place, everybody with the
Stress
stress.
eating.
That's right. We are reaching for that kind of comfort food, right? I mean, how many people are telling me that, oh my gosh, I put on like 10 pounds over the last few weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and the muffin top is starting to show, and well, there are too many muffins because we're all baking. and and actually, if you have too much cortisol, circulating in your body, right? You've probably heard this before,
Mm-hmm.
that it promotes fat deposition. So
Mm.
that really can make people put on weight. So not just that you're eating, too much of certain things, too much sugar, too much, too many cocktails. By the way, that's also sugar.
Right.
And so all everything is just stacking up against us, and so so you have the weight gain, you have the insomnia, you have the nervousness or the anxiety feeling, and or you could even get really irritable as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Is it harder to lose weight too when you're under stress?
oh yes, absolutely.
So even if you're
Yes.
trying,
Yes.
right? It's
That's right. Yeah.
so it's yeah.
Right. And so many people will say, oh my gosh, yes, I've been so stressed for so many years, and because, the stress also, makes us create certain behavior,
Mm-hmm.
eating issues that can, go against us. But by itself, the production of the cortisol, will also, cause you to, deposit more fat. And so if you're eating the wrong kinds of foods, well, that's just the perfect, formula.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so what else? I think that's
What the thing about weight gain too, and having trouble with weight gain is when it's from emotional eating, which it usually is, all those emotions are really being stored in those fat cells, right? So we're really hanging on to all this stuff, and that we feel like our emotions are heavy, our body starts to feel heavy, right? And so when we begin to address the stress and start to be able to shed the weight, we also find ourselves having emotions come up. Weight loss can be super emotional because we're shedding all this stuff that we've been carrying around with us,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's, again, not just the body, it's the mind, it's the emotions, it's all connected, right? So it's really important to take care of yourself as well when you start recognizing these things. Sometimes you might be watching this video and be like, oh my God, all these things are me. It's really important to be gentle with yourself. Like, okay, I can acknowledge that they're talking about me, and also it's okay that that's happening, right? You don't have to get down on yourself or criticize yourself for this,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's something that's so normal and so okay, and you don't necessarily have to do something right now about it. Because again, with this kind of stress that's going on in the world, right? It's going to take a little bit. It's a step by step process, and we're going to be here for you when you're ready to start addressing these problems.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all totally fixable.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it. Um, it takes a little bit of time, but awareness, I think, is the beginning. That's and then taking that first step, making an appointment, but coming in, getting checked, and then we'll go from there, and we can definitely that we've got many tools. Acupuncture is wonderful. There are definitely, these, relaxation techniques that we're going to learn about in a little bit. And then, herbs are wonderful, wonderful, because, if your adrenals are like down the drain, you do need to, nurture it and bring it up again so that it can function properly to support you. And then you should be, you'll have more energy, you'll be feeling better. Actually, depression can be part of the whole thing too. When your energy goes down, Chinese medicine, we say that some people have a depleted chi. So your core energy is depleted, and so you kind of feel down, really down, because your energy is down, and so it's a depression as well.
This is, yeah, learning about herbs working with you has just been so amazing, and I've really seen the difference because I've been practicing yoga since, I don't know, for about 10 years or more. And I started teaching yoga, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And so I've found, in working with those energies of the body and stuff, how beneficial that is. But when you add herbs into the equation,
And
man,
mm-hmm.
and the acupuncture, it really takes healing to the next level. And I've just been blown away with my experience with some of these herbs, because I was someone who, when I came to you, my adrenals were sad little babies. I was living in LA, working 3 jobs for about 2 years before I came to see you, and it was disastrous. And yeah, that the combination that you were able to give me, I instantly felt a shift in my being able to handle daily life. And so sometimes these herbs, it's like you can't do anything else, but you can take these herbs, right? That's the first step to being able to address the next thing, right? To help get you out of the crisis mode, because your body is supported. And now once your body's supported, your mind can start working a little bit better.
That's right, yes. Just like, we have to feed our body, we have to feed our brains, right? And so, and just getting the right nutrition. And, as we say, sometimes when you're stressed, you're not eating right.
Yeah.
And so you're not feeding your body right too. And so, you start to get deficient in certain nutrients and, and all that. And that can actually cause problems, even more problems.
Yeah.
So I think it's there's everything has to come together, right?
Yeah.
You've got to have all these different parts. And it doesn't mean that you've got to, like, you can do a little bit of everything and just kind of build up slowly.
Yeah, exactly.
Take whatever really is comfortable.
Easy, right? You don't need to be doing everything all at once.
Yes.
And honestly, coming to you is one of the easiest first steps, in my opinion, right? Because you're not actually having to do much except show up. Right? And swallow maybe a few pills a day, right? So that's some, a really good first step. And that way, then
yes,
start really addressing the emotional issues.
That's true.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're down there, sometimes it's really hard to see how you're going to get back up. You're in a hole
Mm-hmm.
and you can't see how you're going to get up there. So acupuncture, these modalities, they help to kind of lift you up a little bit so that, now you've got a little bit more of a lift. Now you can see how to get up
Yeah,
there. And then of
exactly.
course, there's, you can do therapy and you can, there are many techniques that you can do that really will help it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking too, actually, something just popped into my mind about people who suffer from, um, post-traumatic stress. Those are
Mm-hmm.
the people who, like they've been under stress, intense stress for a period of time,
Mm-hmm.
or sometimes the trauma is so big,
Mm-hmm.
that they can't get out of that, right?
Yeah,
That
you
cycle.
really need that.
It's a,
That's when you really need the support.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it is the trauma stays in the body. It really does. And your body will start to break down because it can't sustain that
Mm-hmm.
amount of stress constantly, but it's patterned, right?
Mm-hmm.
So breaking that pattern, right? And people with PTSD, it's shown that meditation might not even be that great for you, right? Because you can't even get to the point of being able to sit and breathe.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
You really need something else like acupuncture to really start the process. Also, singing and dancing is an excellent way.
That's right. Singing and dancing
is one of my favorite ways to de-stress, and
Yes.
it's also great for people healing with PTSD.
Right, yes. And actually, I just recently read that the VA is actually encouraging, vets can get acupuncture
Oh, wonderful.
to help them.
Things are changing.
Now, yes. So, if you know a vet, who's, going through a hard time, they might want to check with the VA and see if, they can get, there are acupuncturists who are able to work with vets, and they'll, but they should probably check with the VA doctors first. And so it's really opening up, possibility, a drug-free way to treat it, because, as we know, we have a big problem with opioids in this country. And so, and it doesn't really, do the job. It just covers things up. You have to work through these things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have to really start healing. Now it's a call. This is a call to action. What's happening right now? It's a call to action to heal.
Yes.
And to really start investing our time and our space and our little bit of money into doing what's best for us. Because when we start healing the individual, we start healing the world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's our individual responsibility to take care of what's happening with us so we can show up for the world and make a big difference and support others who are also looking to do to feel better. Yeah, just to feel better.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So anyway,
so
maybe we should have
that's a good opportunity.
Let's go ahead and have Olivia show us the techniques.
All right.
And I'm going to listen too, and
you're gonna go along with it. Awesome.
I am going to.
Okay.
Do that.
So
yes.
This is one of my favorite first things to teach people who are like brand new to yoga and meditation, because learning how to breathe is actually something that so many people need to do. We don't breathe deeply enough on a regular basis, and especially when we have anxiety, we tend to hold our breath, right? So it's really interesting when you tell someone that. See how many times in a day you catch yourself not breathing. It's surprising. When I started doing it, I was like, wow, I'm holding my breath so much, and then everything kind of goes like that, and you start getting tension, and then you start to hurt, right? So learning how to breathe. I'm going to teach you how to do some deep breathing, and you can do this on your own, super easy. You can even only do like 3 to 5 of these breaths, and you'll notice a huge difference. So go ahead and get comfortable in your seat. Kind of straighten up your spine as much as possible. Have your feet flat on the floor. And then if you feel comfortable enough, you can close down the eyes and just listen to me and start to really feel your body. And now take your hand and place it on your stomach. And let's inhale. And on the inhale, expand the belly. feel the belly fill up with air. And on the exhale, contract the belly as if you're pushing all the air out, bringing the belly button towards the spine. Okay, let's do that again. Inhale, fill the belly. Big, 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 big breath. Exhale, contract the belly. Belly button to spine. One more time. Inhale, fill the belly. See if you can get a little more air in there. And exhale, contract the belly, getting all the air out. Now put your other hand on top of your chest. This time, I want you to inhale and bring all of your breath into your chest, expanding the rib cage. Feeling the rib cage get as wide and big, and then exhaling, allowing the chest to fall, getting all of the air out. Let's inhale again through the nose. And exhale, collapsing the chest. Now, this next breath, we're going to put both of them together. So we're going to inhale the belly. Now inhale with the chest. So your entire body is filled up with air all the way to your collarbone. And exhale, let the chest fall. And let the belly collapse. Let's do that again. Inhale, fill the belly. Fill the chest. Through the mouth, exhale. Letting the chest relax. Bringing the belly button in towards the spine. One more time. Inhale, fill the belly. Fill the chest. Get big, big, big. And exhale. Letting the chest fall. Drawing the belly button back to the spine. Letting your hands fall into your lap. And letting your breath come to a more normal rhythm. And just notice if that made any differences in your body or in your mind. Become present with the body and how it's feeling. Notice if the mind wants to go this way or that way. And see if you can let it go and just watch the mind go this way and that way while still remaining present with the sensations of your body. And slowly open your eyes. Wow. So,
Wow.
how do you feel?
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually what I felt was, well, first of all, I noticed that certainly we are not ever filling our lungs up properly.
No,
Right?
right?
I mean, we think we might, take a deep breath every now and then, but we are really not filling up, the whole lungs. And yeah, and then, after, now, how many of these, breaths would you recommend that people should do in a sitting?
When you're first starting out with something like this, you could just do 3 if you need to, and then slowly build up. And then, if you do, 5, say 5 is a pretty good number. See if you can sit in that quiet space that it creates, and see, sit there for maybe 3 minutes in that quiet space, right? Start with a short amount. It doesn't have to be a lot, right? That took maybe 3 minutes to do. So it's great to do in the morning before you start your day. It's great to do before you go to bed, kind of.
I can see how that would really help you, get into a more relaxed mode, preparing for sleep. Yes,
and
excellent.
Also, too, if you just feel yourself starting to stress out,
that's right.
sit just a moment, right? It only takes a
Yeah.
couple minutes to do, and it
Uh-huh.
makes all the difference.
Right. So actually, people can do this throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they could take a little break from their, work or something, and just sit quietly and just do that, for a minute or two or or even 3 minutes or something.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I'm sure every little bit counts, right? Even if they
Mm-hmm.
do a little bit, like a few breaths every so often. Is that
Yeah,
correct? Uh-huh.
yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit. I mean, I felt the difference
Uh-huh.
just right, just
Yes,
in that
yes.
little bit we did.
Yeah. And what's very interesting too is that when I do qigong,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the session, I sometimes will, you get a kind of a tingly sensation
Yeah.
in your fingers, and I got that,
Mm-hmm.
after even just a few breaths. So that's
Mm-hmm.
wonderful.
Yeah, it's really getting that oxygen through
Yeah.
your blood, replenishing your
Exactly.
chi. That's what it's doing, your
That's
energy.
right. Yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us, guys. This was so wonderful talking to you. Feel free to ask us questions. You can either Facebook message us, email us. We're happy to be here for you.
Yes. And if you know anybody who needs help, or if you need help, please give us a call. Contact us, and we'll go from there.